Greetings from our channel again. One of the most recognizable people on American television in the past was Shelley Long. Her portrayal of Diane Chambers in Cheers solidified her status as one of the best sitcom actors of all time, in addition to helping the program become a global phenomenon. However, Shelley Long made a startling choice at the height of her career. She left the cheering crowd. Hollywood was rocked by the decision, which led to innumerable rumors, arguments, and unsolved mysteries in the history of television. Why would a well-compensated celebrity quit America's most successful show? Could she have been looking for more notoriety or a less demanding life? Most importantly, was that the start of a downward spiral or the correct choice? Shelley Long was once a top-tier actress, but her career stopped, her personal life became more turbulent, and she gradually lost her fame. A failing marriage, a deteriorating profession, and at one point a serious mental illness resulted in sensational, media-grabbing rumors of an attempted suicide. While her old co-workers were still doing well years later, Shelley Long decided to live a solitary existence, keeping out of the spotlight. She even failed to show up for the eagerly awaited 2024 Cheers reunion, leaving fans to wonder where she was. What actually took place? Is Shelley Long sorry she left Cheers? Now, where is she? Let's discover the whole story of Shelley Long, the lady who once ruled Hollywood before disappearing in mystery. It is full of drama, surprising turns, and never-before-told behind-the-scenes secrets. On August 23, 1949, Shelley Long was born into a middle-class family in Indian Village, Fort Wayne, Indiana. She was the only child of Leland Long, a former rubber worker who later became a teacher, and Ideen, a schoolteacher. She was raised with a strong sense of discipline and critical thinking from an early age because both of her parents were educators. Early on, Shelley showed a love for performance and communication. She had a strong urge to use speech and gesture to represent characters, in addition to enjoying being in front of an audience. She joined the school's speech team in high school and soon rose to prominence in the Indiana High School Forensic Association. Shelley Long made history in 1967 when she won the National Forensic League's national championship at the age of barely 18. In the area of original oratory. This tournament was not your typical one. The top orators from all around the United States participated on this esteemed arena. Shelley defeated strong opponents with her razor-sharp eloquence and unmistakable stage presence, demonstrating her capacity to enthrall an audience, a talent that would later prove crucial in her acting career. Following her graduation from Fort Wayne Southside High School, Shelley enrolled at Northwestern University, one of the country's most prominent theater schools, to further her love of the arts. But she took the audacious decision to leave school after only 2 years. Why? She came to see that practical experience was worth more than a degree. Shelley made the decision to get out into the real world and look for chances, while many of her peers stayed in lecture rooms. In an odd start for someone who would go on to become a television celebrity, her first job in college was checking student meal menus rather than performing on stage or in front of a camera. She soon relocated to Chicago, which has a flourishing theater and arts culture. The course of Shelley Long's life would change as a result of this choice. In order to obtain experience, she began working as a model, acting in plays, and taking on modest television assignments. And investigate the sector. Despite not having a background in entertainment, Shelley Long established a strong foundation for herself when she entered the acting industry thanks to her innate skill and perseverance. Shelley Long quickly established herself in the entertainment industry after graduating from college. Rather than waiting for possibilities to present themselves, she jumped right in, developing her acting abilities and making a name for herself right away. Joining Chicago's local television show Sorting It Out, where she not only hosted but also created scripts, was one of the most significant turning points in her early career. This work involved more than just being on camera. She was able to demonstrate her inventiveness and demonstrate that she was much more than just an actress. The success of the show was largely due to her participation. Obtaining 3 regional Emmy Awards, which is a remarkable accomplishment for a novice in the field. Shelley joined the Second City comedy troupe, the renowned improvisational troupe that had paved the way for the careers of numerous prominent Hollywood comedians, when she was employed in television. There was no room for the weak of heart in Second City. The actors had to come up with a joke on the spot. No prepared lines, no scripts. You either faded into obscurity or made the audience chuckle. In addition to holding her own, Shelley immediately established herself as a witty comedic actress with flawless improvising abilities. Hollywood became aware of her as her reputation increased. When she was chosen to play the lead in the action comedy Jumpin' Jack Flash in 1986, it appeared to be her first major break and could have catapulted her into the A-list. However, a sudden change in circumstances altered everything. Whoopi Goldberg, who subsequently won an Oscar for Ghost, 1990, took her place at the last minute. As Celeste in My Stepmother is an Alien, 1988, 2 years later, Shelley nearly landed another big-budget movie part. The actress who would subsequently win an Academy Award, Kim Basinger, took her spot once more. What took place? Why did Shelley Long keep passing up great chances to make her big screen debut? According to some accounts, she didn't have the same box office appeal as other well-known celebrities and her humorous style wasn't appropriate for action comedies. Others think that Shelley's criteria for choosing roles were extraordinarily high. Unless she genuinely believed in the script, she would not take on projects. Even after losing out on 2 Hollywood blockbusters, Shelley Long remained optimistic. She was getting ready for the part that would forever alter her life, Diane Chambers. In Cheers, when other actors in her position could have given up or accepted smaller roles. This was the pivotal moment that solidified her place as one of the most recognizable television personalities of the 1980s and turned her into a true star. Nevertheless, that achievement had unanticipated repercussions. When Shelley Long was chosen to play Diane Chambers in the sitcom Cheers in 1982, she took on one of the most pivotal roles of her career. Lisa Eichhorn and Julia Duffy were among the several actresses who first tried out for the role. Nevertheless, Shelley Long seemed unfazed, in contrast to the other applicants who eagerly sought the position. She knew the part belonged to her. The producers paired each actress with one of the 3 actors who auditioned for Sam Malone in order to guarantee on-screen chemistry between the two. Something remarkable occurred when Shelley and Ted Danson were eventually paired. The production crew and NBC execs were utterly enthralled by their chemistry. Sam is the ideal counterpoint to Diane, who is smart, meticulous, and a little conceited. Cheers was founded by a charming, carefree playboy. This connection had a major role in turning what at first glance appeared to be a doomed television program into a phenomenon. In actuality, Cheers had been viewed as a failure. Out of 77 television shows, its first season came in dead last when it debuted. Ordinarily, such low ratings would have resulted in cancellation right away. But NBC recognized the show's potential and made the decision to gamble. It proved to be the proper choice. Cheers had a difficult beginning, but it eventually found its audience and became one of the best sitcoms ever. Nobody could dispute Shelley Long's contribution to that achievement. She received 2 Golden Globes, 5 Emmy nominations, and an Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in 1983 for her outstanding performance. She earned an incredible $450,000 per episode at the height of her career, which was a remarkable sum for the 1980s. The show's success was the product of a flawless formula, not a coincidence. Characters with depth, an environment that encouraged interaction, and incisive writing. In addition to being funny, Cheers' speech was clever and intended to foster quick-witted, clever banter amongst the characters. In contrast to previous sitcoms that focused on families or workplaces, Cheers was set in a small Boston bar where strangers were treated like family. The opening lyric of the show's theme song wasn't the only instance of the theme, where everyone knows your name. It was a place where everyone could find camaraderie and belonging, and it represented the spirit of Cheers. However, the most significant element that solidified Cheers' place in viewers' hearts was its enduring ensemble of characters. Each is distinct in its own right, yet they all mix in perfectly. The endearing bar owner with a problematic past is Sam Malone. Diane Chambers, the smart but conceited waitress, was always winning witty arguments with Sam. Carla Tortelli, the feisty, rough waitress who had a talent for making scathing yet charming jabs. Peterson, Norm. The popular regular at the pub who was always met with a hearty Norm as soon as he entered. Cliff Clavin was the mailman with all the answers who always had something to say, whether or not someone asked him. Cheers was more than simply a sitcom because of these unique individuals. With characters whose influence persisted long after the series concluded, it became into a cultural icon. The most memorable scenes from the show cemented its legacy in television history. The iconic yet uncomplicated standard greeting came to represent camaraderie and inclusion. One of the most iconic love tales on television was the turbulent relationship between Sam and Diane, which veered between passion and strife, love and hatred. The hilarity of the show was enhanced by Cliff's ridiculously cerebral yet incomprehensible speeches, which were frequently met with bewilderment. Naturally, the iconic last moment, in which Sam Malone silently shut off the pub lights and secured the door, was a heartfelt and modest farewell that brought an 11-year adventure that enthralled almost 100 million spectators to a close. And key component of this achievement was Shelley Long. In addition to providing Sam with a humorous counterpoint, her portrayal of Diane Chambers was a unique kind of sitcom character at the time. Though weak and emotionally fragile, she was a sharp-witted, intelligent woman who didn't hesitate to express her ideas. However, Shelley Long startled Hollywood by announcing her resignation from Cheers after 5 seasons, right when she was at the top of her game. In addition to leaving fans in disbelief, her departure sparked a flurry of conjecture. Why would a high-profile celebrity quit America's most-watched show? What actually took place behind Cheers scenes? Only years later would the reality of this choice become clear. In many respects, Shelley Long was Diane Chambers, not just the character she was portraying. In rare sitcom performances, she grew so engrossed in the part that it was occasionally hard to distinguish the actor from the character. The scene where Diane sees Sam kissing Carla was one of the most telling. It was merely a pre-arranged scene, leaving the whole team stunned. She was truly devastated, just as Diane would have been, and she wasn't simply acting. In addition to her intense acting style, Shelley Long was a meticulous critic who frequently had contentious conversations with the writers to make sure Diane's character stayed true to herself. On set, this occasionally caused stress. Although he and Shelley had arguments while filming, Ted Danson later acknowledged that he never said anything negative about her. However, there were occasionally tense situations behind the scenes due to the continuous arguments over dialogue, character interpretation, and performance direction. Ted Danson wasn't the only one. In his memoir, actor Kelsey Grammer, who portrayed Frasier Crane, disclosed that Shelley Long had originally lobbied to have Frasier's character taken off the program, but that ultimately never happened. Personal disputes did not conclude the story. The direction of the screenplay was a major factor in Shelley Long's decision to leave Cheers. The main plot of Cheers has always been the conflict between Sam and Diane over whether or not their ferocious relationship would ever develop into a committed one. But the unexpected choice by the producers to have them start dating too soon greatly lessened the dramatic tension. The authors found it difficult to maintain audiences' interest after that. They even contemplated getting married and starting a family with Sam and Diane at one time. However, this plot never materialized. Later, author Ken Levine disclosed that Cheers may have ended much sooner if Shelley Long hadn't gone. According to him, the program was obliged to take a different turn once Diane Chambers left, which allowed Kirstie Alley to take over and carry it on for an additional 6 seasons. However, Shelley's choice was very personal and had nothing to do with the show. In addition to the conflicts backstage and the lack of creativity, Shelley Long was under a great lot of pressure at work. She was mentally and physically exhausted from the demanding 14 to 16-hour filming schedule, which was held 5 days a week. In addition to her frequent migraines and high levels of stress, her daughter Juliana, born in 1985, was growing up without her mother being as involved as she would have liked. In addition to leaving to pursue her career, Shelley Long left to become a mother. But there was more to it than that. Hollywood's fantasy. Like Mary Tyler Moore before her, Shelley Long thought she could make the leap to the big screen and become a successful movie actor. With her current level of notoriety, she thought possibilities would present themselves, but life in Hollywood has never been simple. It was a risky move for Shelley Long to leave Cheers. The program went on. After Kirstie Alley took over, Cheers remained one of the best comedy on television. However, Shelley Long's post-Cheers life was not as easy as she had imagined. She was not become a cinematic star by the movies she starred in after Cheers. She never achieved the heights she had previously experienced, despite having some success in films like Hello Again, Outrageous Fortune, and The Money Pit, where she starred opposite Tom Hanks. While Shelley Long progressively lost her place in Hollywood's spotlight, her former co-stars, Ted Danson and Kelsey Grammer, continued to flourish on television. Although she continued to appear in films such as Frasier, Boston Legal, Modern Family, and The Brady Bunch, none of these roles brought her back to her old fame. Shelley Long was not present for Cheers' 30th anniversary party. She vanished once more in 2024 when her previous cast members got back together for a significant occasion. Shelley Long merely responded, "I have no regrets," when asked years later if she regretted quitting Cheers. "I simply chose what was best for me at the moment." Was it the proper thing to do, though? Choice. Shelley Long was no longer one of the most well-known figures in the field after Cheers. The most surprising discoveries would come from her private life away from the spotlight as she fell into obscurity, dealing with personal challenges that were even more terrible than the disappointments in her career. She was married to Ken Solomon prior to becoming a Cheers star, but their marriage ended quietly and did not last long. Although not much is known about this first marriage, it was obviously only a brief period of Shelley's life. She focused solely on her work in the ensuing years until she met the man who appeared to be meant to be her lifetime companion. In 1981, a stockbroker and aspiring television actress. Shelley seemed to have a steady and long-lasting marriage, in contrast to Diane Chambers, her character from Cheers, who was always struggling with love. In addition to being her spouse for more than 20 years, Bruce Tyson provided Shelley with a solid financial foundation, enabling her to focus on her artistic goals without worrying about money. She said that spending more time with her family was a contributing factor in her contentious choice to depart Cheers at the height of her career. And their marriage stayed harmonious for many years. But when Shelley Long left Cheers and started down a far more challenging route, everything started to shift. She started to feel the effects of career setbacks when the movies she took on didn't turn out to be as successful as she had hoped. Shelley's mental state became more unstable as she dealt with a string of failed projects, roles that lost their punch, and the constant threat of a fading fame. Her marriage began to fall apart at the same time that her job became unclear. Conversations became less frequent, the pair drifted apart, and their emotional gap grew. In 2004, Shelley Long and Bruce Tyson formally separated after 23 years of dating. This divorce was the most traumatic event in her personal life, if leaving Cheers was the most contentious decision of her career. It was more than just a lengthy marriage ending. It caused one of the darkest times in Shelley Long's life. Within months following the divorce, Hollywood was rocked by a startling revelation. Shelley Long was in critical condition when she was admitted to the hospital. Newspaper headlines said that Shelley Long had been located following what appeared to be an overdose in November 2004. Causing a surge of worrying conjecture. Did she no longer want to live? Reports from sensationalized media shocked the population. According to numerous accounts, Shelley had sunk into a profound despair following her divorce. She stopped attending important Hollywood functions, turned inward, distanced herself from friends and co-workers, and virtually disappeared from the spotlight. According to other sources, she overdosed because she believed she had nothing left to cling to after experiencing a full emotional collapse that prompted her to turn to drugs for comfort. A short time later, Shelley Long's agent came forth to refute the claims, stating that it was merely an accident. The statement claimed that she had been dealing with persistent back pain for years and that the incident was not a planned overdose but rather the result of taking too much pain medicine. But the harm was done, whether it was a true accident or not. The formerly adored celebrity was now linked to depressing news stories instead of her prior achievements. Nothing changed in actuality. The person Shelley Long used to be has changed. Once a renowned actress at the height of her career, she was now the focus of depressing tales and was no longer recognized for her skill or accomplishments, but for her life's losses and personal collapse, which had come to define it. Despite leaving Cheers while the show was still at its height, Shelley Long's influence on American sitcoms hasn't decreased. In addition to being one of the most iconic characters in television history, her portrayal of Diane Chambers served as a model for other female comedy roles in the future. Diane wasn't merely a supporting role meant to balance the main character. She had a distinct personality of her own, a keen mind and an intriguing sense of pride. One of the most famous will they won't they partnerships in television history was the result of the contrast between Diane, the intelligent, haughty, but vulnerable woman, and Sam Malone, the laid-back, carefree ladies' man. Following Shelley Long's exit, Cheers' success was maintained by Kirstie Alley's portrayal of Rebecca Howe, the show's new female star. But the question of whether Cheers was better with Diane or Rebecca has never really been resolved, even to this day. This ongoing conversation demonstrates how profoundly Diane Chambers impacted audiences, to the point where no one could ever fully replace her. Diane's presence remained remembered even though Cheers went on for 6 more seasons. In 1993, Shelley Long made a comeback to wrap up Diane's plot in the series finale, which attracted 42.4 million people and was one of the most watched last episodes in television history. Shelley Long contributed to redefining the role of women in comedy beyond Cheers. Prior to her, female characters serving as antagonists for male leads in television comedies were frequently limited to being nice, innocent, or exaggerated for comedic effect. That pattern was broken by Diane Chambers. She was unapologetically herself, educated, and expressive. A new generation of multifaceted, multidimensional female comedic characters was made possible by her witty, flawed, and vulnerable humor. To claim that there might not have been a Lily Aldrin in How I Met Your Mother, a Rachel Green in Friends, or the numerous witty female leads in 30 Rock and The Office without Diane Chambers would not be an exaggeration. Not only did Shelley Long create a memorable character, but she also set a higher standard for sitcom acting. The role of Diane Chambers was challenging, needing both physical humor and linguistic dexterity while preserving the character's intellectual appeal. Diane is one of the most dynamic and captivating sitcom characters ever thanks to Shelley's flawless timing, expressive facial expressions, and ability to strike a balance between humor and real emotion. Her 5-season run for an Emmy, 2 Golden Globes, and several award nominations is no accident. Diane Chambers is still regarded by both industry insiders and television critics as one of the finest sitcom characters of all time, over 40 years after Cheers debuted. In one interview, Ted Danson acknowledged that without Shelley Long, Cheers would not have been as successful. She had already established the groundwork for the show's durability, enabling it to flourish for a further 10 years, even though she left it at its peak. Even though she didn't have the successful movie career she had hoped for, Shelley Long's influence on television endures. Diane Chambers is more than just a character, she is a landmark, a shift in the writing of female roles, and evidence of the ideal fusion of psychological nuance and acting prowess. That is the real legacy of Shelley Long, and it is still as important today. Shelley Long is no longer well known in Hollywood, but she hasn't given up acting entirely. The Brady Bunch movie in 1995 gave her a big boost in her career. Shelley received favorable reviews from reviewers and the movie surprisingly became a smash, collecting over $46 million at the box office. At least it guaranteed her a place in the hearts of a new generation of viewers, even though it didn't elevate her to the level of her Cheers days. But Shelley Long didn't really have an opportunity to reach younger audiences again until she joined Modern Family in 2009 to 2018. She gave a humorous and heartfelt performance as Ed O'Neill's character, Dee Pritchett, the quirky mother of Jay Pritchett. Even though she only starred in 8 episodes, the part was a reminder of Shelley's comic genius, the same skill that helped Cheers become a hit. As the Pritchett family reflected on Dee Dee's influence, her farewell on Modern Family turned into one of the most poignant scenes in the series. This event was similar to Shelley Long's own career in many respects, with her once famous name progressively vanishing as Hollywood entered a new era. Shelley Long has virtually vanished from Hollywood, notwithstanding her sporadic TV appearances. There are no nostalgic interviews, no film premieres, and no attendance at important award shows. The Cheers cast has gotten back together several times for special occasions, but Shelley Long is never present. With the exception of her, almost every member of the show's renowned cast attended the celebration of the 30th anniversary of its last episode in 2024. Many people were left wondering where Shelley Long was. Why she has remained so estranged from her former co-workers. The infrequent sightings of Shelley Long in recent years have come from unposed street shots in Los Angeles rather than red carpet events. She used to be the queen of glitzy sitcoms, but now she lives a tranquil, uncomplicated life and is frequently seen walking her dog. Today, Shelley Long appears shockingly modest without the sparkling Hollywood costumes and excessive makeup. The same as every other woman in her 70s. There are always questions when one sees someone who used to dominate television screens suddenly walking in peace through the streets. Is there ever any regret for Shelley Long? Although she left Cheers at its height, she did not achieve the success she had hoped for in the years that followed. As her former co-stars, Ted Danson and Kelsey Grammer, continue to achieve success, Shelley Long has opted to remain silent and withdraw from the attention she once so brilliantly demanded. When she left the Cheers, did she really find the serenity she was looking for? Or is this just Hollywood's reserved quiet desertion of her? A woman who once dominated television only to be progressively marginalized by the ever-evolving entertainment sector? Maybe the answer is, only Shelley Long herself is aware of it. A former comedy queen, Shelley Long received 2 Golden Globes, 5 Emmy nominations, and a huge paycheck. However, things changed in 1987 when she decided to quit Cheers. After becoming a television star, she eventually left the limelight of Hollywood to live a quiet life for personal reasons. However, Shelley Long's legacy endures forever. Diane Chambers is still an indispensable character in Cheers, which is still considered one of the best sitcoms ever made. Had she stayed, would her career have gone in a different direction? Or had her chosen course always been predestined? How do you feel about Shelley Long's choice? Which cheering moment is your favorite? Which would you rather have, Rebecca or Sam and Diane? And do you think Cheers is the best sitcom ever? Participate in the conversation by leaving a comment. Remember to hit subscribe if you want to continue reading the engrossing tales of Hollywood icons. I'll see you in the upcoming video.